One of the things that you can do to prolong the life of your motorcycle, I think, is probably one of the more important ones that I learned from many years of riding a bicycle, is maintaining your chain. Now, there's a lot of chain maintenance videos out there, and I'm not going to try to replicate all of that, but my previous bike I had the 2015 Versus, and I rode that for just over 10,000 miles before I sold it. And one of the things that I noticed on that bike was, even after 10,000 miles, my chain really showed no wear at all, and there really wasn't any wear whatsoever on the sprockets at all. And you can kind of tell, I'll put in a picture here, but you can see how it's kind of squared off, and you can see also how clean my chain is. Now, one of the things that I recently did, I recently changed the type of cleaner that I was using, lubricant that I was using, and I went to this, I found this Maxima, and it's a synthetic chain guard, and I kind of liked it because it was clear. It makes the chain look really nice and clear, but the problem with it is it seems to fling off of the chain a lot easier. And what I mean by that is, yesterday I went out for a ride, and you can see that it kind of splattered like all over the tire, and it also splattered all over the rim. And previous to my little errand, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but I think it's going to pick it up on the tire. Now here it is right there on my chicken strips, and I don't know, and you know, I might need that spot at some point, so I kind of really don't want to have lubricant going all over it. So I think I'm going to go back to my tried and true this other type of a chain wax, and this looks more like cosmoline, kind of thick and sort of yellowish, but it doesn't fling off as much. Now, if you only do one thing to your chain at all, it would be cleaning it. So I think that cleaning it is going to be more important than anything, and pretty much all I use for cleaning really is just regular old kerosene that I get from Walmart, and I think that you can use diesel fuel. I've heard of people using diesel fuel, and but the Yamaha service manual says kerosene, and the Kawasaki service manual said kerosene. So all I use is just these little $10 brush here. This is kind of rough bristles, but also just a regular old paintbrush. And so I just put a little bit of kerosene down in a plastic bowl and just brush it, and then usually I'll wash it off with a hose and then dry it with the leaf blower, and then go on and put the lube on it. But with this new type of lube that I was using, I really liked it at first. I liked the fact that it was clear, and it makes the chain look just really amazingly clean. I just like a clean look, and I think it does keep it clean, because it doesn't cake up as much on the sprockets as the other type. But the fact that it's spewing all over my tire is kind of bothersome to me. So I didn't put on too much too. I was really careful just to put it on the O-rings, and really the only place where you really need to have the lubrication is like right in here, these little spots where you see the X-rings, because these parts here, the center is kind of a bearing, and I don't think it really matters that these are lubed too much, because all the lubrication, all the motion is internal behind, in the greased portion behind the X-rings. And the purpose of the chain wax is actually to protect the rubber X-ring seals or O-ring seals. Most of the newer chains now are X-rings, because they found that X-rings tend to last a lot longer because there's less pressure on the rubber itself because of the way that they're constructed. As I stated, the thing that you can do to prolong the life of your chain the most is really just keeping it clean, because the metal portion of it is machined, and it's very, very tight tolerances. So just metal on metal with just a little bit of lubrication that you see here really causes no wear. But where you get the wear is from the dirt. You know, dirt, there's silica, there's all sorts of abrasives that's in just dirt that you get off the road and off of the air. So, you know, the cleaner you can keep it, the longer it's going to last. And it's kind of an ongoing thing. I think Yamaha says clean and lube, or lube every 400 miles. I just kind of do it whenever it starts to look kind of nasty. And how I kind of tell is by how dirty it looks in the center here. And so, and typically, if you wash your bike, before you wash your bike, you know, just clean the chain. So, and I think you'll do pretty well. Last year I took a motorcycle ride up north. It's kind of a long ride up to Springerville, up the Devil's Highway, and there was a rider there from Texas that had the exact same Versys that I had. And it looked almost like the twin, except that one wasn't really cared for as much. And they had about the same mileage that I had, right around 9,000 miles or so. And what I saw on that chain was there's a few spots here and there that looked like it started to kind of red discolor. And I found a photo I'll try and put in, but I did some further research and found that what that's a sign of is that the X-ring or the O-ring has been compromised, and you're getting some internal friction, and that particular link is getting a lot more heat just from normal rotation. Now these chains really take a lot of stress. I mean, you look at motorcycles that are capable of going 200 miles an hour, and they basically have the same type of chain. So it's quite a mechanical feat. I mean, for something so thin and so light to spin so fast and take so much torque. So, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you really need to pay particularly close attention to your chain. And not only is this going to be safer for you, there's less chance of it coming off, because, I mean, they have a plastic chain guard, but if this chain really wanted to come off, I think it would go right through this chain guard. And you know, it could just be a really bad thing with you know, my leg being right there. I sure don't want a chain coming off. I mean, that could just be you know, beside the fact of being, you know, stranded someplace. It's just everything bad. So it really is in your best interest just to you know, do your maintenance on it. But really, there are a lot of videos out there on YouTube land that talk about chain maintenance and such. And you know, I don't claim to be the all-knowing expert, but I have learned a thing or two having ridden multi-speed bicycles and mountain bikes for a long time. And I have found that on my mountain bikes, if I didn't maintain the chain or didn't use very good lube, the chain really didn't last very long. And the same is true for a motorcycle, and even more so because the stresses are a lot more, and there's a lot more strain and stresses placed on it. I cleaned everything off with a little bit of kerosene, followed up with some simple green. So, you know, maybe I'm worried about nothing. I mean, I'm fully aware that there are plenty of riders out there with much more experience and much smarter than I am. So, you know, if you have an opinion on this, put it in the comments, because I would really like to know that a little bit of chain lube flinged on the side of my tire is no problem. But, you know, until I know that for sure, I'm just going to, you know, clean it off. And I think I'm going to go with that back to the old chain lube that I was using before. So let me know what you think. I mean, I don't know everything, so I like to make this interactive. So until next time, you stay safe. Oh, and by the way, Do you think this gun makes my panniers look fat?